Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, we talk a lot about the institutional collapse that's currently happening, how these legacy systems that were once untouchable are now being exposed for what they truly are, bloated, biased, corrupt mouthpieces for the regime, whether it's the media, academia, public health bureaucracies, or in this case, state-funded journalism. These institutions are presented as unimpeachable, infallible, public products and services of good. But boy, has that concept totally collapsed. And now the truth is being exposed like never before. These institutions were never about truth. No, they were always about control, soft power for the regime, and of course, funded by your tax dollars. But now, friends, the mask is slipping, or the mask has already slipped. People are waking up like never before, and the old systems cannot survive. You know, in a way, the cat's out of the bag, and they can't figure out how to put it back in. And that brings us to the topic we've been covering the last 2 days, the meltdown over NPR and PBS that's happening right now, as their precious government funding is now being called into question, possibly under threat. And not just conceptual threat, no, I mean really threatened, as Donald Trump now chimes in and he's dropping the frickin' hammer. Donald Trump is now calling for the total defunding of NPR and PBS, and it's about damn time, I'll tell you that much. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so the fall of NPR begins. Despite the laughably dishonest testimony that we saw from NPR CEO Catherine Mayer the other day, she tried her best to put on a good show, but clearly it wasn't convincing enough, at least not convincing enough for the President of the United States, because after all the facts were laid out in brutal fashion during that congressional hearing, Donald Trump has officially chimed in, and he is calling for the total defunding of NPR and PBS. Take a look at this statement. Donald Trump writes on Truth Social, NPR and PBS, two horrible and completely biased platforms, networks, should be defunded by Congress immediately. Republicans don't miss this opportunity to rid our country of this giant scam, both being arms of the radical left Democrat Party. Just say no and make America great again. As per usual, Donald Trump is on the right side of history. Donald Trump's on the right side of the issue, and he doesn't waste time beating around the bush or tiptoeing around the subjects. No, he tackles it head on, and he is absolutely right. But of course, as expected, the leftist regime is responding in predictable fashion. Most of what I'm seeing out there is just the usual tantrum. Trump's a tyrant. He's trying to silence the press. He wants revenge because these journalists won't do his bidding. Okay. Please give it a rest, and let's try to stick to a fact-based conversation, please, shall we? This isn't about silencing journalism. It's about cutting off taxpayer-funded, state-run propaganda, because that's exactly what these networks are. If NPR and PBS were truly independent and valuable, they wouldn't need the taxpayer teat to survive. And really, instead of me sitting here and rehashing all the arguments that I've made a million times before, let's do something a little bit different. Let's just go and piggyback off of Marjorie Taylor Greene, who exposed the giant scam that NPR is during her moment at the congressional hearing. Enter Marjorie Taylor Greene bringing the frickin' receipts.
At the DOJ subcommittee, we are continuing our war on waste. That means rooting out spending that is unnecessary, wasteful, and frankly, un-American. Today, we are looking at the more than $500 million federal taxpayers spend annually to fund public radio and television. NPR and PBS are the big DC-based entities that create and distribute much of the news and educational content heard and seen on public radio and TV stations across the country. When Congress adopted the Public Broadcasting Act of 1967, it did so because it thought at the time that federal dollars were needed to provide objective news and education content to the entire nation, including rural residents who lived off the grid. The audience of public radio and television is declining. PBS News is not just left-leaning, but it is actively uses taxpayer funds to push some of the most radical left positions, like featuring a drag queen on the show Let's Learn, a show targeted toward young children ages 3 to 8 years old. In 2015, PBS produced Frontline, put out a documentary, Growing Up Trans, that takes viewers on an intimate and eye-opening journey inside the struggles and choices facing transgender kids and their families. This means that PBS is one of the founders of the trans child abuse industry, all while taking taxpayer money. As mentioned earlier, PBS was the outlet that featured the child predator drag queen on the education show for kids ages 3 to 8 years old. Our witness, Ms. Kerger, lied under oath and said it wasn't featured on PBS. This show was aired on PBS on April 1st, 2021. Let's go ahead and watch this video.
And we're going to start with our hips. The hips on the dragon go swish, 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 swish. The shoulders on the dragon go shimmy, 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 shimmy. Blah, 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 blah. And now come the dragon goes blah, 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 all through the town.
The hips go swish, swish, swish. That's repulsive. That's not what children ages 3 to 8 should ever be watching. A grown biological man posing as a woman.
Yeah, remember when Catherine Mayer denied that they were promoting transgender content targeting toddlers? Yeah, I guess you can't deny it anymore, huh? As Marjorie Taylor Greene plays an actual segment broadcast on PBS featuring a grown man in full drag singing some sort of parody of the Wheels on the Bus to 3-year-olds. The hips on the drag queen go swish, swish, swish. I'm sorry, what? Who signed off on this? Who in their right mind thought that this was appropriate? And the most important question, why are taxpayers funding it? You know, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene makes the argument kind of undeniable. There is absolutely no moral, ethical, or logical reason that the American taxpayers should be forced to bankroll state-run media. If NPR and PBS want to exist, sure. If they want to produce that kind of content, then go right ahead. But do it in the private sector, do it in the free market. You know, if people really want what you're selling, well then feed the demand. But obviously, we all know that that won't happen, right? Their audience is small, their content is ideological, and clearly there's a propaganda purpose behind it all. The intention is not to bring value to the American people, to bring important content that the people need. No, the purpose is to propagandize the uninformed boomers who consume their news media and the younger generations that they target with their kids' content. It's not a public service. If anything, it's a public disservice. And again, I'm going to finish off with the same argument I always make when we're talking about state media in general. Publicly funded journalism is simply incompatible with a free society, period. The press and the media is supposed to hold the government accountable, not be an extension of it. And so Trump is absolutely right. Marjorie Taylor Greene is absolutely right as well. Defund the propaganda. Enough is enough. Present the vote to Congress to defund NPR, to defund PBS, and let's see where all these Congress people put their votes. Let's see which members of Congress are willing to go on the record supporting drag queen content for kids funded on the American taxpayer dime. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.